Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Cunningham and I'm doing my presentation on counseling and poverty. Defining counseling and poverty. What is poverty? Poverty is defined as a point in your life you reach when you don't have the basic needs to survive. The World Health Organization has described poverty as the greatest suffering on earth. Who are the members of this group? There is no one shared concept of poverty with direct implications for how to measure and prescribe policy to end it. Poverty is a subjective and comparative term that carries moral as well as scientifically measured evaluations. Poverty does not just happen in one place, it strikes people throughout the world every day. In a world filled with billions of people, we all want to feel like we belong. For many of us, we are able to choose, but for some of us, it's not that simple. We do not choose to be poor, nor do we choose to live in poverty. Poverty has no rules, nor sympathy for those lives it takes over. Poverty continues to increase, and it doesn't just make people suffer, it's much worse. As of 2010, the U.S. Census Bureau's survey results estimated that American poverty had increased during the previous year from 13.2% of the population to 14.3%, resulting in the largest number of poor Americans. The poverty rate increased for whites from 8.6% to 9.4%, for blacks from 24.7% to 25.8%, and for Latinos from 23.2% to 25.3%. For Asians, the 2009 poverty rate of 12.5% did not change significantly from the previous year. Women are 40% more likely to live in poverty. 21% of America's children live in poverty. 12% of white children live in poor families, along with 36% of black children, 15% of Asian children, 34% of Native American children, and 33% of Latino children. Poverty is theoretically expected to affect almost anyone, and in doing so, it creates certain characteristics in people being affected. These are just a few of the characteristics. Not only does it ruin, but it takes lives every day. These characteristics result in the strength we need to overcome such harsh obstacles such as poverty. Poverty creates you to have elevated levels of stress, deprivation, physical and mental wear and tear, and starvation. When people do survive poverty, they demonstrate many strengths that are often not part of the stereotypical image that people in other classes have of the poor. Most people expect the poor to have no drive or ambition to come out on top. They couldn't be further from the truth. People living in poverty tend to value all life has to offer them. They don't run when they come face to face with their problems. They overcome them with every ounce of their being. They demonstrate things such as patience, determination, persistence. They're problem solvers, hopeful, strong willed. They are survivors. It's strange to me to see some of the things that people take for granted in their everyday lives that people of poverty value, such as closeness of their relationships, family outings, mealtime, communication, religion, and safety. There are some serious challenges for someone living in poverty. These struggles can consist of stress, family disruption, crime, homicide, violence, substance abuse, isolation, lack of education, feeling powerless, unsafe environments, discrimination, mental and physical health issues. The poor are perceived as being lazy, promiscuous, dysfunctional, and addicts. People suffering from poverty tend to act out as a way of coping with the hand they were dealt. Their voices are never heard, And when they are, they tend to be looked at in a negative light. They become excluded from cultural life. There are laws set in place to drive the homeless out of the public's eye. It is extremely hard for someone to move out of poverty. You must have the aspiration to want to attain a better life for yourself as well as your family. Most psychologists are not prepared practically, experiential, ideologically for working with individuals living in poverty. Many therapists tend to blame the client for their life of poverty. Bullock has outlined some aspects of this lack of preparedness, focusing in particular on the mismatch between the world of the therapist and the day to day experience of the client living in poverty. Therapists should be trained on working with people from the social class. They need to be prepared for what they might see and how to react to certain situations they are faced with. Dr. Porter Swift came up with a 5 point program. Number one, more and better counseling at elementary school levels. Two, improvement in vocational counseling and vocational training. Three, elimination of discriminatory hiring practices. Four, wide scale training and retraining of school dropouts and adult unemployable by virtue of technical change. And five, improvement in the quality of education and training at the high school level. When working with patients who live in poverty, the best treatment for them would be to use a dual approach to therapy. Coming from poverty, clients may not only have mental health issues, but they may suffer from substance abuse as well. This will allow you to focus on more than one of their problem components. This will also allow your client to have a better outcome to treatment. As a therapist, you need to be well aware of your own class value. Without an awareness of the social, cultural, and interpersonal discrimination that accompanies poverty, counselors will be unable to work most effectively with poor clients and may even unintentionally contribute to their oppression. You need to have more understanding. As a therapist, you should be reiterating a positive change in your client. You need to be able to understand their frustrations with the challenges they're being faced with in their everyday life. Addressing the emotional needs of those living in poverty is an important step in enacting a socially just psychology that encompasses an appreciation for the deep connection between one's immediate environment, community context, and psychological wellness. Once you can accomplish this, you will be able to be a better advocate for people living in poverty. It also produces a therapeutic change for them. The best way to become an advocate for the poor is to become more involved with your community. As a therapist, being an advocate could mean donating your time to counsel the poor, joining groups to create things such as a safer environment for them to live in, volunteering with local community organizations, as well as volunteering at food banks. Living in poverty has proven to be devastating to everyone worldwide. Many people have been dealt a hand of poverty without expecting it. Sometimes it just happens and you have no control over it. The statement, the strong will survive, holds true in times like these. Not only does it take a strong person to survive what life throws at you, it also takes counseling, hard work, dedication, determination, perseverance, and the will to win. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed learning about counseling and poverty as much as I did. People like you can make a difference in other people's lives. You just have to be willing to try.